The Kennedy half-dollar coin holds a special place in American numismatic history, with its value and history extending far beyond its initial creation. Today, we're diving into the top 6 factors that influence the value of these iconic coins, as well as the fascinating history behind them. First up, the 1989 Kennedy half-dollar was part of the series introduced in 1964, featuring President John F. Kennedy after his assassination. The coin was minted to honor his memory, with the design by Gilroy Roberts for the obverse and Frank Gasparro for the reverse. The coin features a portrait of Kennedy on the front and a depiction of the presidential seal on the back. The 1989 version of the Kennedy half-dollar was struck in both Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins with no mint mark, while the Denver Mint coins were marked with a D. It was issued as part of the regular circulation, but it's important to note that it did not experience significant rarity or demand, making it more common in the market. The coin was primarily used for circulation during the late 80s, but it was largely replaced by the dollar bill for everyday transactions. Regarding value, the 1989 Kennedy half-dollar is still quite affordable in its circulated form. It generally holds a value close to its face value, around 50 cents. Uncirculated coins or coins in mint condition, however, can fetch a higher price. Proof versions of the coin, which were struck specially for collectors, may also be worth more, typically ranging between $3 to $5 depending on the condition. In terms of historical significance, the Kennedy half-dollar has remained in circulation in various forms, with the 1989 version continuing the legacy of honoring JFK. It has remained a symbol of the nation's respect for Kennedy's legacy, even though it is not a rare or highly sought-after coin in the collector market. Next up, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is part of the ongoing series minted to honor President John F. Kennedy after his assassination. The design remains the same as the original series, with the obverse featuring a portrait of JFK created by artist Gilroy Roberts, and the reverse showcasing the presidential seal designed by Frank Gasparro. The 1973 coin was produced in large quantities for circulation and was minted in both Philadelphia and Denver. The Philadelphia Mint produced coins without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint used a D mint mark on their coins. During the 1970s, the Kennedy half-dollar was still widely used in circulation, but by this time, it was being replaced in everyday transactions by the dollar bill and lower-value coins. As a result, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar didn't become particularly rare or valuable in the general market. The coin is composed of 40% silver and 60% copper, a composition that was standard for half-dollars minted from 1965 to 1970. Starting in 1971, the coin switched to a copper-nickel clad composition, and the 1973 half-dollar is made of this copper-nickel blend. In terms of value, the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is typically worth around face value, 50 cents, when circulated. However, coins in uncirculated or near-mint condition can be worth a bit more, often around $1 to $3. Proof versions, which were struck for collectors and feature a high-quality finish, are more valuable. These can range in price from $3 to $10, depending on their condition and whether they come in original packaging. Although the 1973 Kennedy half-dollar is not particularly rare, it remains significant as part of the broader series of coins produced in Kennedy's honor. Collectors still seek these coins, particularly in pristine condition or as part of complete sets of Kennedy half-dollars, but it does not hold significant value beyond its face value for the average collector. Next up, the 1965 Kennedy half-dollar holds a special place in U.S. coin history, representing both a tribute to President John F. Kennedy and a turning point in the country's coinage production. The coin was issued just a few years after the assassination of President Kennedy, making it an emotional and symbolic memento. Its composition, historical significance, and unique place in numismatic history make the 1965 Kennedy half-dollar much more than just a coin. Below is a comprehensive exploration of its value, history, and significance in U.S. coinage, reaching up to 3,000 words. Background: the Kennedy half-dollar's introduction. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964, following the tragic assassination of President John F. Kennedy on November 22, 1963. It was a somber moment in American history, and the U.S. government sought to commemorate the late president by issuing a coin in his honor. The coin was designed by U.S. Mint chief engraver Gilroy Roberts, with a portrait of the slain president on the obverse. On the reverse, designer Frank Gasparro chose to depict the presidential seal, a symbol of the office of the President of the United States. Before 1964, the U.S. half-dollar coin featured the image of Benjamin Franklin. But following Kennedy's death, the U.S. government opted to replace Franklin's portrait with Kennedy's as a mark of respect and admiration for his leadership. The 1964 Kennedy half dollar was released as part of the country's effort to pay tribute to the fallen leader and was embraced by both the public and collectors. The composition change, 1965 Kennedy half dollar. In 1965, however, a significant change occurred in the composition of the coin that would affect its value and make the 1965 Kennedy half dollar one of the most talked about coins in the United States. The U.S. was experiencing an economic crisis during the mid-1960s, which led to a shortage of silver. Up until that point, U.S. coinage had been made of a silver-copper composition, but the rising price of silver made it increasingly expensive to strike coins made with a high silver content. As a result, the U.S. Mint made a major decision to change the composition of circulating half dollars. Starting in 1965, the Kennedy half dollar was minted with 40% silver and 60% copper, a departure from the 90% silver composition of previous years. This was a temporary measure that would remain in effect until 1970, when the U.S. Mint moved entirely to copper-nickel clad coins. The 1965 Kennedy half dollar design. The design of the 1965 Kennedy half dollar remained largely the same as the original 1964 version, with a few important distinctions. The obverse still depicted President Kennedy's portrait, while the reverse continued to feature the presidential seal. However, one key difference between the 1965 version and its predecessors is that the 1965 coin no longer carried the word silver on the reverse, as it had been removed after the switch. Next up, the 1980 Kennedy half dollar is an important coin for collectors and enthusiasts of U.S. currency. To understand its value and history, let's take a closer look at its background, design, mintage, and what makes it a significant piece for coin collectors today. The Kennedy half dollar was first introduced in 1964 to honor President John F. Kennedy following his tragic assassination in 1963. Initially, the coin was made of 90% silver, but by 1971, it shifted to a copper-nickel clad composition due to the rising cost of silver. This change impacted the overall value of the coin, but it still held significant appeal due to its historical connection to the late president. In 1980, the U.S. Mint continued producing the Kennedy half dollar in this copper-nickel clad composition. And while the coin itself didn't hold any extraordinary precious metal value, it was still part of the ongoing circulation of Kennedy half dollars. Over time, the 1980 coin became part of a series that, despite its non-silver composition, continued to intrigue collectors because of its historical connection and its place in the ongoing saga of the Kennedy half dollar series. Regarding mintage, the U.S. Mint produced both circulating and proof versions of the 1980 Kennedy half dollar. The standard circulating version was minted in large quantities, but the proof versions, which were produced for collectors, were minted in smaller numbers. This difference in production creates the first distinction between coins that are widely circulated and those that are kept in pristine condition by collectors. Next up, the 1977 Kennedy half dollar is a coin with both historical significance and collector interest. Produced by the United States Mint, this coin has captivated numismatists for its role in the ongoing production of the Kennedy half dollar series, which began in 1964. Over the years, the value and interest in the 1977 coin have fluctuated due to various factors, including its rarity, condition, and the overall market for silver and copper-nickel coins. First, let's talk about the design. The Kennedy half dollar features a portrait of President John F. Kennedy on the obverse, which was designed by Gilroy Roberts. Kennedy, who was assassinated in 1963, was commemorated with this coin as a tribute to his legacy. The reverse of the coin, designed by Frank Gasparro, depicts the presidential seal, with a heraldic eagle holding a ribbon in its beak, which bears the Latin inscription, E pluribus unum. The eagle holds arrows in one talon and an olive branch in the other, symbolizing a nation ready for peace, but also prepared for defense. This design has remained largely unchanged since the coin's debut in 1964. As for the composition, the 1977 Kennedy half dollar is made of a copper-nickel clad composition. The outer layer consists of 75% copper and 25% nickel, while the inner core is made of pure copper. This composition was a shift from the 90% silver used in earlier issues of the Kennedy half dollar, primarily due to rising silver prices and changes in the way coins were produced in the United States. In 1977, the Mint produced millions of these coins as part of regular circulation. Despite the large number of coins struck, the 1977 Kennedy half dollar isn't considered particularly rare by most collectors, especially in its standard circulation condition. However, the value of these coins can still vary depending on their condition. Coins that have been well preserved, such as those graded MS65 or higher, can fetch higher prices, as collectors often look for coins with minimal wear and good strike quality. The mintages of 1977 Kennedy half dollars were significant, with over 60 million coins struck between the Philadelphia and Denver mint facilities. Of these, nearly 40 million were produced in Philadelphia, with the remaining 20 million minted in Denver. The 1977 coin was not a special commemorative issue, so there were no additional distinguishing marks, like those seen on other years when proof coins or silver proofs were produced. As a result, most collectors seeking out the 1977 Kennedy half dollar will look for coins in uncirculated or proof condition. As of today, the 1977 Kennedy half dollar generally holds a modest value in circulation. In average circulated condition, you might find it worth only face value, which is 50 cents. However, if you have a coin in near mint or uncirculated condition, it can be worth anywhere from $1 to $3, depending on factors like grade and the specific coin market conditions. Proof versions, which were struck for collectors, can sometimes be worth more, typically ranging from $5 to $10, again depending on their condition and whether they are part of a complete proof set. Next up, the 1967 Kennedy half dollar was minted during a turbulent time in American history. This coin was part of a series that was first introduced in 1964, just a few months after President John F. Kennedy's assassination. The U.S. Mint wanted to honor his legacy, and what better way than by putting his image on the nation's half-dollar coin. The Kennedy half dollar was meant to replace the Franklin half dollar, and it quickly became a symbol of respect for the fallen president. In 1967, the U.S. Mint produced over 150 million Kennedy half dollars, making it one of the most common coins in circulation at the time. However, as the years passed, the value of this coin has been shaped not just by its mintage, but by its silver content and its connection to one of America's most revered presidents. Before we dive into the specifics of the coin's value, let's take a look at its design. The obverse, or front of the coin, features a portrait of President Kennedy, designed by artist Gilroy Roberts. It's a striking image of the 35th president, a fitting tribute to the man who led the country through some of its most challenging moments. Surrounding the image of Kennedy is the inscription Liberty, along with the year of minting, 1967, and the phrase, "In God We Trust," which is a standard feature on U.S. coinage. On the reverse side of the coin, we see a depiction of the presidential seal, with an eagle clutching an olive branch in one talon and arrows in the other. The eagle is surrounded by the words, United States of America and half dollar. This reverse design, also by Gilroy Roberts, has become iconic, further cementing the Kennedy half dollar's place in American numismatic history. Now let's talk about the metal content. The 1967 Kennedy half dollar is made of 40% silver and 60% copper. This was a shift from the earlier versions of the coin, which were made of 90% silver until 1964. The US government decided to reduce the silver content in response to the rising cost of silver. Despite the reduction in silver content, the 1967 Kennedy half dollar still contains a significant amount of silver, which contributes to its value. The silver content in the 1967 Kennedy half dollar gives it intrinsic value based on the current market price of silver. As of recent silver prices, each coin is worth around 2 to 3 times its face value. But this can fluctuate depending on the price of silver at any given moment. If you're looking at the coin purely for its silver value, it's worth checking the current silver market before making any decisions. But let's not forget that this coin has numismatic value as well. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its worth. Coins that are in excellent condition, known as uncirculated or mint state, can fetch a much higher price. A 1967 Kennedy half dollar in mint condition might be worth anywhere from $5 to $10 or more, depending on the specific grade. For collectors, the value can go even higher if the coin has been graded by a reputable service, such as the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, or the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, NGC. Grading is a process where coins are examined for their condition, and a grade is assigned based on factors like wear, scratches, and overall appearance. Coins with higher grades tend to be more valuable because they are rarer and in better condition than their counterparts.